And so, the partnership we're trying to build is modeled after the partnerships that you've built as well across the aisle and up and down. And so we are really excited that today we have representatives from our agencies. I've mentioned a few of the agencies, and you see on the agenda from the Department of Energy. We are partnered with the state, with local and community economic development agencies, and all the way down to county commissioners and town managers, because our goal is to get it right. Our goal is to make sure that we are not leaving communities behind, and it's really about the people. When I say communities in this, yes, we can define communities by groups of census tracts. We can define them by Bureau of Labor Statistics, metropolitan statistical or non-statistical areas. We need those to create some boundaries for us. But when we talk about communities, a community is made up of the people who live there. And that's really what we're here to do, is again, to make sure we're making those connections. And speaking of that partnership, I mentioned that it goes all the way to the White House. And next, I'd like to invite Ben Beachy, who's the Special Assistant to the President for Climate Policy and Industrial Sector and Community Investment. And I want to draw attention to that. It is how we can put all of those pieces together: the climate policy, industrial strategy, industrial investment, and community investment. And Ben Beachy, who's a staunch supporter of workers in hard-hit communities. Ben, please, I welcome your comments.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Senator. Thank you all. It's wonderful to be here today. Coming from the White House, I'm mainly here today to listen to you, right? Because we have, as named, this wave of federal funding from the Biden administration that is coming to our communities. And that wave of federal funding will only translate into real gains on the ground if local leaders, like many of you, are equipped to channel that funding into locally defined priorities. So my job here today primarily is to listen. But since they asked me to say a few words at the outset, I thought I'd frame up what I see this wave of federal funding being all about and what it can mean for coal country. Since its first day, the Biden-Harris administration has worked to ensure that the communities that powered this nation for generations reap the rewards of the growing clean economy. Now, I'm from a small town named Philippi, north of here in Barber County, West Virginia. And I have seen what happens when really wrong-headed policy decides to leave behind those who have given so much, leaving behind low-paying jobs, depleted tax revenue, empty downtowns. I'm sure many of you have as well. Now, a lot of people see this and have a lot of nice words. We say a lot of nice things about supporting energy communities, a lot of happy talk. But one thing I can say is that while others have talked a good game, President Biden has put his money where his mouth is. He is delivering the goods. $20 billion. That's how much this administration has invested in coal communities and other energy communities in just the last 3 years. That is $20 billion to train local workers for new advanced manufacturing, clean energy jobs. $20 billion to help clean up legacy pollution. $20 billion to revitalize our infrastructure and build local economies. And that funding is part of President Biden's Investing in America agenda. And a big part of that agenda, as the senator spoke to, as Brian spoke to, is the infrastructure law. Let me just name a little bit of what that infrastructure law has meant for West Virginia. The law is deploying $2.5 billion in the state of West Virginia to repair our roads, public transit, bridges, and highways. $200 million are flowing into the state to replace lead pipes and ensure clean water for all. $1.6 billion is coming to the state for broadband to ensure access to high-speed internet, particularly for rural communities. And the infrastructure law also specifically benefits coal communities, specifically, as one example, to reclaim abandoned mine lands. It was just last month that the Department of Interior announced a new investment of $30 million coming to the state of West Virginia to reclaim abandoned mine lands. And what that money is doing is hiring local workers to remove local environmental and health hazards, meanwhile recouping land that can be used for recreation and economic development. While we repair, we also must build. And under the Biden administration, companies are doing exactly that, yielding the biggest manufacturing boom that we have seen in this country in decades. And that includes West Virginia. It particularly includes West Virginia. In just the last 3 years, we've seen companies announce investments in manufacturing in West Virginia totaling $7 billion. These are investments to manufacture the nuts and bolts of the growing clean energy economy. And the president's climate law, as we're here to talk about today, offers billions more for clean energy manufacturing. As Brian named, and as the senator spoke to, the 48C tax credit is one of the biggest investments in this law for clean energy manufacturing, $10 billion. It has a very charismatic name, 48C. And as you heard, $4 billion of those dollars are flowing specifically to coal communities. That offers West Virginia a real opportunity to train up workers for higher paying clean energy jobs as companies are breaking ground in coal country to manufacture clean energy nuts and bolts for wind, for solar, for clean hydrogen and beyond. Let me just shout out some of the West Virginia counties that qualify for these investments in clean energy manufacturing. Kanawha County right now, right here where we are. Hardy County in the east, Wayne County in the west, Hancock County in the north, McDowell County in the south. 3/4 of the state is covered by this $10 billion, this $4 billion specifically for coal communities. And the climate law also includes another tax credit, as the senator mentioned, that offers clean energy companies a bonus if they set up shop, if they deploy their wind, solar, and clean energy development in energy communities, including all the West Virginia counties that I just named. They get another big bonus if they pay prevailing wages and use apprenticeships to train local workers. So that offers a good opportunity to create union jobs here in West Virginia as workers construct our clean energy future, harnessing the state's wind, solar, and other clean energy resources. But look, it's not enough just to offer federal funding. Federal funding must feed local priorities. Workers, communities, local leaders, local electeds on the ground must be able to translate this wave of federal funding into good paying jobs, locally defined economic development. That is why President Biden, in his very first week in office, created this Coal Communities Interagency Working Group. It unites 12 different agencies. So you don't have to talk to 12 of us, you can talk to one of us. So that we have dollars actually going to the local leaders who can call the shots about the futures that they want to build in their own communities. And the working group is planning to set up a rapid response team here in West Virginia with folks on the ground who live here, being a face for the government to help you channel these dollars. It's created an online funding database to help community groups, unions, and local businesses navigate the plethora of federal funding opportunities that have been made available. And the interagency group is here to support the expertise of local leaders and offer technical assistance so that local leaders can chart their own future. And that is really what it's about. When we match local leadership with federal funding, coal communities can lead the way in building an economy that truly does leave no one behind. That is what President Biden's Investing in America agenda is all about. Enabling hard-hit workers and communities to harness the gains of the clean energy boom and reap the rewards. To move their communities and our nation from setback to comeback. That's the mission, and we'll only get there together. So again, I'm here to listen to your good ideas today and figure out how we can make something happen. Thanks for the invitation.
Ben, thank you very much. And as you see, that you can't get too far from West Virginians, can you? So I think we're trying to demonstrate this morning how, as I went back earlier and talked about partnerships, we have partnerships all across the federal government, across the agencies from top to bottom, with Congress, all the way down to the communities. And today we want to be able to offer that partnership. As Ben said, the IWG, we have a navigator function, we have our clearinghouse, we have rapid response teams, and we, as we proceed today, will have opportunities to engage and create additional partnerships here this morning.